Watch the 2026 Bach High Parade and Firing of the Bombs, March 21st and 22nd, right here on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. Presented by Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties, our live parade coverage from Marysville's Chinatown starts just after 11 a.m. Saturday, with Firing of the Bombs at 4 p.m. Sunday. We'll have unscheduled reports from other parts of the Bach High Festival downtown. Couldn't catch the live streams? Watch our replay with festival coverage, 7 p.m. Sunday, March 22nd. The 2026 Bach High Parade and Firing of the Bombs. Presented by Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties, March 21st and 22nd, right here on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE.
Welcome to the Yuba County Board of Supervisors meeting. As a courtesy to others, please turn off cell phones or other electronic devices which may disrupt the meeting. If attending via Zoom, please have your microphones muted at times when you are not speaking. All items on the agenda other than correspondence and board and staff member reports are considered items for which a board may take action. The public will be given opportunity to comment on action items on the agenda when the item is heard, and comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per individual or group.
Rennick, you want to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please rise and remove your hats.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then today we're going to have Brian Deal for our invocation from Metanoia Church. You can come up to the microphones.
Let's go ahead and pray. Jesus, thank you so much for the privilege that we all have to serve you in the communities that we're in. We just lift up Yuba County Board, that you would guide, guard, and direct them. Give them wisdom that comes from you, Lord, to lead the community. Just thank you so much for all of the people that are represented here, and just ask that you would guide, guard, and direct this meeting. And we just lift all of that up to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Brian. Welcome. And roll call vote. Roll call.
Supervisor Vasquez?
Here.
Supervisor House?
Here.
Supervisor Fuhr?
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford?
Here.
Supervisor Messick?
Here.
Thank you.
And then is there any comment on the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will move on to special presentations. We have OES. OES wants to come up? And have we enshrined Oscar ES, the OES? Okay, we have not. So we are honoring the Yuba County Office of Emergency Services today. Youth Preparedness Program, We're Not Scared, We're Prepared. Whereas while the Yuba County Office of Emergency Services has long connected with adults and parents in the community about preparedness, it has not yet found a way to connect with kids. And they sought to bridge the gap in families by connecting with school-age children with a program addressing disaster, vulnerability, with a curriculum that builds resilience and readiness. And whereas staff developed We're Not Scared, We're Prepared program to introduce every first grade student in the county to the basics of emergency preparedness. Through an interactive presentation, students learn the difference between an emergency and a natural disaster, demonstrate how to pack a go bag, and help them process the emotions that may arise in a crisis. And whereas this program curriculum utilizes kinesthetic learning and California transformative social and emotional learning competencies to teach practical life skills using age-appropriate language and introducing our mascot, Yuba the Owl. The program makes family and emergency preparedness more engaging and comprehensible, and teachers have praised the program for its student engagement and practical application. And whereas the curriculum also complements Yuba County's biannual community outreach event, the Be Prepared Fair, which connects residents with preparedness, resources, information, and first responder interactions. And whereas the program's success stems from the strong partnership between local schools and the county, in school year 24-25, the program reached over 1,200 students at 19 of 20 Yuba County schools, distributed over 1,000 emergency go bags, and increased emergency preparedness knowledge by 95%. And whereas on February 11th, 2026, the We're Not Scared, We're Prepared program was honored by the California State Association of Counties with a 2025 Challenge Award. This award recognizes California counties' innovative and creative spirits as they find new, effective, and cost-saving ways to provide programs and services to their citizens. Now, therefore, the Yuba County Board of Supervisors commends the Yuba County Office of Emergency Services for their unwavering dedication to our community and acknowledge that each team member is a valuable asset to Yuba County and extend our sincere gratitude for their continued service. Thank you. Would you like to say any words?
Of course, I'd love to. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for your continued support in this program. I'd like to thank Alan and the CAO's office for support, and then the support and coordination with the OES office, and then the amazing school districts and children. Yeah. Remember, we're not scared, we're prepared. Who's prepared? Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Board members?
One male, one there in life, right? One male.
Easy to remember. Oh.
Now we Ema. Okay, basketball veteran, Marine Corps veteran, reserve deputy. Hey, hoorah. Hoorah. There you go.
All right, I believe our next presentation is going to be public safety.
There we go.
Proceed.
Members of the board, Matt Riccardi with probation. Happy to be here today representing and on behalf of public safety. I handed you all our business summary that we've been putting out for the last several years, which really is just a highlight of the work that we do throughout the year and our accomplishments. Very proud of our staff, of all the work that they do throughout the year. Their impact in Yuba County, and in our region is immense. And again, I could not be more proud of them, and hopefully this business summary is a reflection of that. And so for our presentation today, we have Officer Landis and Tractor here today to do our presentation on our K-9 program that we just started up. But before Officer Landis gets going, I really just want to say how proud I am of him and all the work that he did. Ryan actually built this program for our department. This wasn't management or supervisors or anyone else. He has a strong passion for this work, and he did a phenomenal job of building this program, and just very proud of you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ryan. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Good morning, members of the board. Good morning, Chair and members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Ryan Landis, and I have the privilege of being the K-9 handler for this guy right here, Tractor. I'm here to present the summary for our detection program for last year. This program's been in the works for a little while, and we officially began in June when Tractor and I graduated detection school. Before I dive in here, I want to explain that Tractor and I are certified in what is called target odors. The specific odors we are certified in are guns, ammunition, gun parts, methamphetamine, fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine. I'm gonna do my best, but he's not gonna cooperate. He's got his vest on right now, so he thinks we're working. When Tractor locates one of these target odors, it's up to me to read his behavior, any changes, and hopefully find his final indication. For Tractor, his final indication is a full lockup. This is when his body stops moving, and he points to the highest concentration of odor with his nose. He then holds it until I reward him with either verbal praise or his favorite thing in the world, his tennis ball, which he knows is in my back pocket right now, just in case. All right. Here are deployments for last year. I want to clarify that a deployment can be as small as a backpack or a piece of mail we locate on one of our clients in public, or something much larger like an entire residence. As you can see, Tractor and I were busy in September in particular. In that month alone, we were deployed to 3 high schools, the juvenile rehabilitation campus twice, the Yuba County Jail, and several residences. Our total deployment for these 6 months was 133, which led directly to 4 arrests. This is a picture of Tractor and I at one of our deployment at a youth development center. We were actually joined by a few canines from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation that day as well, as they're on different target odors that Tractor is not, such as cell phones, tobacco, and other electronics. As you can see in this slide, the agents we assisted, including, of course, Yuba County Probation, Sutter County Probation, Gridley Police Department, Yuba County Sheriff, and Net 5. The types of areas we search, this is what our program classifies them as. We have 178 rooms, 68 open areas, 24 vehicles, 1,200 lockers, and 41 parcels. This picture, we were helping out the Yuba County Jail when their canine was not there for the day, searching for suspicious packages, anything that came in the mail. Now we got the fun stuff. This is what Tractor and I assisted officers in finding last year. I know this picture, the shotgun seems to be the most exciting, but it's not what a canine handler gets excited about. It's those very small rounds of ammunition because they put off a very minimal amount of odor compared to that shotgun. So right here, 76 rounds of ammunition, six spent casings, 2 empty magazines, and of course the shotgun. Our drug odors, he found paraphernalia 4 times, a total of 5.79 grams of fentanyl. And of course we have him showing off his pink October patch in the picture. All right, here's some of the demonstrations we completed last year. So Marysville High School ROP class, Linda Elementary, Browns Valley Elementary, Covelod, Edgewater, and Cordura. We also have a couple scheduled. We've already done more this year, and we're going to Loma Rica tomorrow morning. I do want to explain that Tractor's demeanor is not very common for a detection dog, and we are very fortunate to have him. He's super friendly, which allows him to be around kids. Generally, detection dogs are focused on a certain reward, where Tractor's fine with either his ball or attention from a couple kids. He's the only detection dog in the whole training group that we could show the students what he does, then give them the opportunity to meet and pet him. These are some of the special searches we completed. Twin Cities Rescue Mission also actually reached out to us on Facebook asking him to come out. We searched their whole place and they're excited for us to go back out there again. As you can see, Lyndhurst really likes us coming out there. The way we do this is generally the school's administration randomly draws what areas will be searched, including classrooms, locker rooms, and any common area. We're then escorted by staff, and it's our job to tell them what Tractor might be interested in. This is a breakdown of our training hours for last year. Post guidelines requires a minimum of 20 training hours for each month. For Tractor and I, this includes 16 formal hours of training through our company DTAC K9. It's my responsibility to fill the remaining hours on my own. This ranges from hiding different target odors in various locations, my favorite being coworkers' offices and my in-laws' house without letting them know. In this picture right here, Tractor's indicating that small little glove right there, I planted a training aid in. This is something that's just soaked around dangerous odors, so I can take it, it's completely safe. I can put it at our rehabilitation campus after we're done searching, and I can safely let him go get rewarded. The chart on the page, you'll see the various target odors tractors found during training and the amounts. I'm not going to bore you guys with reading all those numbers, but you can see all our target odors are in there. We train at various places that our group can find. We're always looking for open buildings and whatnot. Our main trainer, Chris Oliver, makes sure to keeps us as challenged as possible, so we're ready for just about anything. One site in particular was a large building with not a single piece of furniture in it, and we thought it'd be an easy day until he put a large amount of odor in the HVAC vent, causing odor to be all throughout the building and all the dogs go crazy. It took a long time for that day. Our program summary, this is the first 6-month period that the detection team of Tractor and myself have been on duty after completing the initial handler's course and becoming post-certified in June 28th, 2025. During this time frame, the detection team, as well as the individual units of the Yuba County Probation Department, began the process of learning how the detection team can be best utilized to serve the department and the community. The detection team also completed their annual post recertification, December 19th, 2025. Him and I passed with flying colors. That was not an easy day. The goal of the canine detection team for the next quarter is to participate in community outreach events, including demonstrations, meet and greets. Furthermore, the team hopes to continue to learn how to increase their level of understanding of the scent detection process as well as each other. I had to include this. This was the day that Tractor was officially sworn in by Judge Givens. As you can see here, he's very intent on reading his oath while my wife and I helped him sign it. Before I conclude, I want to tell a story. Every presentation we do, I'm always asked the same questions. How did Tractor get his name? Because obviously it's not very common. The story's pretty simple. It was a rehoming situation when the trainer got him, and he was on a farm where there was a lot of tractors. She didn't intend on having him trained for detection work, but rather be a companion dog that could go anywhere with their owner. This is how he got his demeanor. He actually picked up the detection piece when she was training another dog. This balance is why Tractor is not known as the fastest detection dog. He is very methodical and thorough. Ironically, we just won a speed contest amongst my training group a few weeks ago. While the other dogs went bursting through the door, Tractor checked the door threshold, leaving our time about 10 seconds. Thank you for your time and this amazing opportunity to be Tractor's handler. Are there any questions?
Through the chair. Just an area of interest for me. So how do we go about, I work at a school, how do I go about being able to set something up with Tractor to come out?
Just give me a call. We're always available to go out wherever.
Okay. I think it's huge because in our schools we have, the kids have a lot of privacy, right? And so they have backpacks full of marijuana, vapes, other drugs, harder drugs. And so it's kind of a balancing act. You don't want to scare the kids away from school, but it seems like having an interactive dog that you can pet might be something that could encourage them to want to interact for most of the kids. And maybe they'll think twice before they bring the drugs to school, knowing that dog might be there. So.
Oh, absolutely. They love Tractor out there, especially because of the fact that he is on guns too. It's just keeping the kids safe. And that's how we explain it to them. We work with the administration. I don't go searching the backpacks myself. I just say, hey, Tractor's interested right here. And then we step away.
That's good.
Through the chair, can you give us the direct phone number to you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are you gonna?
You email it to clerk of the board.
That'd be my preference. Thank you.
All right.
Through the chair. Just want to say thanks for coming today. Great presentation, and thanks for the work that you and Tractor do.
Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. All right, we will move to Coupa from Community Development Services, the Certified Unified Program Agency. Go ahead, proceed, I'm sorry.
Good morning, Chairman, Fuhrer, and the rest of the board. My name is Clark Piquel. I'm the Director of Environmental Health. I'm here today to give you a brief presentation on the Coupa Program Agency. It's fairly technical, but we'll see if we can get you a little bit of information today. So Coupa actually stands for the Certified Unified Program Agency. was established in statute in 1998. It consolidated 5 state programs. They were all run separately by 5 different agencies. So people that were, the businesses that were having to comply with these programs were oftentimes having to make multiple inspection dates, see multiple inspectors, deal with different agencies. So the state consolidated those in a local program under one agency. The law required all counties to apply, so every county is required to become a CUPA. And as part of that application, there was a very extensive certification process. I've only listed 4 here. I'll go over them, but these are kind of the major ones, but it's far more in depth than that. But we start with a time task analysis. We had to determine how many FTEs are required to actually run and implement the program. There's a fee accountability. The state looks at our fees, determines whether our fees are high enough to maintain and properly do the program or run the program. It set education requirements, both college education, there's regular training requirements for each program, and then several of the programs have special certifications that we actually have to go out and get and maintain. It also required us to develop a detailed inspection and enforcement plan, which is again reviewed by the state as part of the certification process and the recertification process. So this law, it set in place permanent state surcharge fees. These surcharge fees, the CUPA is required to collect and divide them based on the program elements and then remit those fees back to the state on a quarterly basis. The state also, on occasion, implements temporary surcharge fees. These are again established in Title 27 regulations. We're typically notified if the state's going to either up a permanent surcharge fee or whether they're going to install a temporary surcharge fee. They'll let us know how much that's going to be, when it should start, and if it's a temporary fee, when it's going to end. And I believe we actually had a technology surcharge fee that just ended sometime in the middle of last year, maybe June of last year. The law also established triennial evaluations and recertification. It's basically a full recertification. It's a 3-month process. They go through everything. Again, our budget, fees, inspection frequencies, return to compliance. They actually get down to the level of looking at individual violations, trying to determine if we reach state averages. And if we don't reach state averages on any type of violation in any of the programs, they then look deeper into it to see if it's just facility related, that's this type of facilities we've had, we've done a good job, got them into compliance, or whether there's additional training that we're needing to do that we're misunderstanding and not applying the law properly. I just finished the 3-month process. In fact, letters probably coming to the Board of Supervisors now on that 3-month process. And then there's also very extensive data reporting requirements. The programs are actually delegated from the feds down to the state. The state then delegated it from them down to us. So the state's required to report all this information to the feds. Well, we're doing all the work, so we actually have all the information, and we're required then to collect all that information, organize it in a way that they can report to the feds, and then feed it back up to the state. Taking a look at the programs themselves, the first one is a Hazardous Material Business Plan program, known as the HMBP. It requires any facility that stores 55 gallons, 500 pounds, or 200 cubic feet of a hazardous material to comply with the law. And it's a relatively small amount. So you're looking at a huge amount of businesses that would need to comply. It requires a very detailed chemical inventory. That chemical inventory goes from trade name, the basic name that you might have for it, the CAS number, the NFPA requirements for fire, the average quantity, the maximum quantity that you might have at your site. So it's just not a name of a chemical list. It's going out and detailing that chemical. And most of this HMBP it's a planning document. It's really meant for emergency response issues. So the facilities are also required to have a detailed site plan that shows their locations, the hazmat locations, where their evacuation points may be. Again, they also do a relatively basic emergency response plan. They also have a spill contingency plan that's incorporated with that. And then everything that's put here is required to be reported to the California Environmental Reporting System. So in many of our facilities, they're only getting in it once a year. It's difficult for them to get into it, remember their password, remember how to use it. You know, they're not using it enough to do it. So we actually offer a service where they can send us a paper set, and we'll actually do the work for them. We'll enter it in for them and do their submittal process. It requires data sharing with local emergency responders. We used to send discs. Obviously, that's gone, but it met the law, but it was very impractical to emergency responders to get a disc, get out on a fire, and now they're trying to sift through this disc of, you know, where the emergency contact people are, what chemicals they have, where the site map is on this disc. And so we now enter all the data into a GIS database. We provide licenses to the emergency responders so they can actually have it on their rigs. They can have it at their office. It'll actually show the whole county. You can see every regulated site. They can click on it. They can get everything they want. They can get your the site plan. They can see the emergency contacts and phone numbers immediately. They can see what the NFPA, what the biggest hazards are at that site on a glance. So it's much more efficient, and it's used regularly and often used for fire planning as well. The California Accidental Release Prevention Program, this is really just an additional extension to the business plan program that I was just talking about. It includes acutely hazardous chemicals. These are chemicals that can have severe off-site consequences. Many of them are gaseous chemicals, so they have plumes. My house is actually in between two of them. I was evacuated 8 years ago for a potential release at one of these facilities. It requires an engineered risk management plan, and it requires obviously extensive inspector training. And this is one of the biggest difficulties for our CUPA is it's a very, very technical program, but we don't have a whole lot of facilities. So you're just spending a lot of effort to get the understanding, the technical expertise to review these risk management plans in a very limited basis. We are starting to get more. Hazardous waste generator program, that requires every facility that generates any amount of hazardous waste to be included. This deals with waste storage. That would be the containers they're in, the condition of the containers, the labeling of the containers. Handling, you know, are you making sure you're not leaking? Is the containers in such a way that you're not actually spilling or not getting it into the containers? Secondary containment if it's necessary. Are you closing the containers after use? And then one of the biggest things we're really looking for, and this is typical of hazardous waste, is it's basically from generation cradle to grave is what they're really concerned about. And so there's time limits for how long you can generate waste, and then it has to be disposed of. It has to be disposed of at proper places and disposal sites. And so that it gets through manifest tracking, which is through their Cal EPA ID number. And so when we go inside, that's one of our biggest concerns, making sure that they're actually getting rid of their waste and that they have the manifest to show where it's showing up, where it's going to. We've run into, especially 20 years ago when this program started, we ran into many places that hadn't been regulated for years and had thousands and thousands of gallons in many, many containers of waste because they didn't know what to do with it and they just kept collecting. So the above ground storage program, the AST program, it requires any facility with greater than or equal to 1,320 gallons of storage capacity. That's capacity, so that's not actually what you have there. So you might store 600 gallons, but if your capacity is 1,320, then you're required to comply. And we've actually spent a lot of time with a lot of these facilities and helped them reduce their capacity so they wouldn't have to comply with the program. So a lot of times it's maybe just permanently closing a tank. They didn't have to get rid of the tank, but there's certain laws on how to permanently close it and show that's permanently closed. That reduces them below 1,320 and it takes them out of the program. So we spent a lot of time with businesses helping them get out of this program. For those that have greater than equal to 10,000 gallons, it requires an engineered spill prevention, control, and countermeasure plan. This plan completely mimics the federal spill prevention, control, and countermeasure plans. And so in essence, California law kind of adopted the federal law, but you could end up actually seeing two inspectors because the federal inspectors for greater than 10,000 could show up as well as a local inspector, because we're regulating it under California. This also requires a special inspector certification that we have to go spend time training, take a 3-day course, we have an all-day exam, and then that has to be maintained every 2 years. An underground storage tank plant program, the UST program, it requires construction plan review and approval. We do multiple construction inspections, tank piping tests for both the primary and secondary piping, the tank insets. Right there in the picture you're looking at to the left, you're seeing the top of the tanks that are inset in the pea gravel. We also do a full equipment certification once everything is put together to make sure that all the equipment that tests for leaks is operational prior to it going into operation. And then we go back every year, we do an annual equipment certification at all these facilities. And we also do what's called secondary containment inspections. And depending on the facility, you may do that secondary containment inspection every year. In some facilities, the way they do it, you have to do it, you'll be at that facility every 3 years. This also requires a special inspector certification. Emergency response. This is, again, kind of an extension of the hazardous material business plan. It requires CUPA to coordinate between facilities and responding agencies. We have to develop an area plan, which we have developed years ago, but we maintain it. That's our Yuba County Hazardous Material Response Plan. That's built around our regional emergency response team. We are required to do investigations of state and facility spill reports. Every facility has a spill reporting requirement. And so if they spill, they're required to notify us. And then we, again, go and just verify that it's properly cleaned up and been properly handled. We also get Cal EPA hazardous waste complaints that we have to deal with and follow up on. We are all my staff, including myself in the CUPA program, are members of the Regional Hazardous Material Response Team. It's a Yuba-Sutter team. We are part of the operational unit. CUPA also does fire debris removal assistance. We were involved in the Cascade Fire. I don't know if any of you got very involved in the Cascade Fire. It was probably afterwards. But that helps both removing the household hazardous waste after a fire and then working on the actual debris removal and its transport to the landfill. Generally, this program it's important because you have a massive amount of debris removal. We had 240 locations, I think, in the Cascade Fire. We did assistance to Shasta County, Trinity County, Plumas County, Lassen, Butte in the Camp Fire. And you're looking at, Camp Fire that had 18,000 structures that we had to deal with. Both removing the household hazardous waste first and then the debris after that. This also requires a number of special certifications, both for hazmat specialists as far as the team itself and for HAZWOPER, which is our hazardous waste operations certification for being on a hazardous waste site. With that, any questions? Oh, and just before, I do want to put out a little compliment to Supervisor House. One of my staff was mentioning working with you on the CUPA program, and he mentioned that you did just an absolutely fantastic job.
So through the chair, thank you for the presentation, Clark. I kind of requested it because I'm getting lots of feedback from my constituents about the program that don't understand it and don't understand why the fees keep going up. Me included in the farming, on the farming side. So I got a bill here from one of my constituents I wanted to go over with you. Last year, his bill was $800. This year, $904.20 total. State surcharge. My glasses on so I could see it easier. $79. Assistant program conditionally exempt, $92.50. HMBP business plan F3, $647.50. CDSA support technology surcharge 4, $59.20. Assist, I guess, state surcharge, $26, so the total is $904. I guess I could go on and on about this, but me personally at the ranch, you know, when I started doing this program years ago, they just called over the phone, and I think OES was doing it at that time, and wanted to know how many chemicals I could totally have on site mixed up. Well, that's thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of gallons because you mix a little bit of chemical with a lot of water. And there's different chemicals all the time throughout the year. So I don't see how this would be, you know, the fire department would have to know what you're spraying at certain times of the year to even know what to expect, because we don't store that stuff for more than a few days on site.
So I can, if you have a little bit of time, I can kind of give you a little bit of history on that exact question.
Yeah. Well, what I'm getting to at the end is, can we do an exemption for agriculture?
I can't. It's state requirement. Yeah, I have, my hands are completely tied on that. So it's a state program. What would happen is by exempting those people, they would take over the program. We would get decertified, and they would start to take the program over. That's happened to a few counties. Imperial County has been trying to get out from under DTSC for 26 years.
So what would happen if the state took over? If we just said, hey, we don't want to have this program anymore?
So the state would put their inspectors here and run the program 100%, just like we would at their fees.
Okay.
Fee schedule. That's what's actually happened. Trinity just got out of that. Took a long time. Their fees in Trinity County are almost double our fees.
Okay. So the fees would be,
you're having a state program run a local program, so it's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to unwind too. Imperial County has been trying to unwind it for 26 years. They're starting to get some progress with unwinding it, but for them to unwind it and take it over themselves, they have to hire all the staff that the state's going to require them to hire, get them all trained up so that they can actually meet the certification, get fully certified, with the hope that they can unwind all the people from DTSC for however long it's going to take to remove their inspectors from Imperial County. So it's a very, very, very tough. In fact, that's what I was getting back is if you go back in history, 20 years ago when I was taken over in 2005, we were in the process of getting decertified. We were unsatisfactory, and I think conveniently when I was getting hired, they neglected to tell me we were getting decertified, and my predecessor actually left as I was getting hired. I think she also was left for that very reason. She felt that they were going to get decertified. So there were 4 items that we had to solve to not get certified. One was staffing up enough. So they do, like I said, an FTE. 20 years ago, the FTE count was 2.9. When Environmental Health hired us, we hired 2 people and they provided some clerical support. We were about 2.4 staff at that point in time. So it was close to the 2.9, a little bit under, but it was enough to where the state was satisfied. So it met that FTE requirement and the fee accountability issue. And then that staffing was enough to get the inspection frequency up to what the state was happy with, which is 90%. So getting to 90% then was relatively simple. Getting to 90% now is very difficult because the number of facilities just keep growing. The third item was having a data management system where we could actually transfer the data that they were requiring and the reporting that we were talking about. So we had enough staff at that time to fill out the database, and they were satisfied. The last one was farms. Needed to regulate the farms. So interestingly enough, I had a stack of letters on my desk. And we were just going, I was learning because I had nobody to train me. So the state was helping me out, and we were just learning on the fly. And a stack, probably 100 letters, all from the different farmers, but signed by one farmer. And so I looked at that and I said, you know, it sounds like that farmer is the one that really I need to talk to and find out what was going on, what was causing them to stop and be frustrated with the program. So I set up an appointment. We went out to her farm. She drove us around, and her issue was she had the way they do business plans is if you have any chemicals that exceed that volume, that 55 gallons or the 500 pounds, any one day, you're subject to the law, and every non-contiguous parcel is responsible, right? So she was going to have 10 business plans, but only one of them had material on it at any length of time, which is, I think, one of the questions you brought up, right? Any length of time. The rest of them were basically vacant other than spraying or putting on your fertilizer, and that might have been there for 4 or 5 days, right? And then it's gone. So I said I didn't know how to answer that question. We needed to get in the law. It was either going to be me doing this or it was going to be the state doing this. And so I went and I did some research, and I followed farther down in the law and found a point where it said that if you reach your threshold limit, you have 30 days to report it. I'm like, well, how can you be subject to the law day one if you have 30 days to report it? These things don't jive. They don't make any sense. And really what it should have been put in, as a 30-day exemption, right? It basically says, hey, you have 30 days. If that stuff is on and off, you're not reporting it. It doesn't matter what quantity it is, right? So your sprayers and all, if you're putting a big carboy or one of the big tanks there and you're just doing it to spray and then you're removing it, you wouldn't be subject to the law. So I went back to the state and I said, hey, this is how I see it. I interpret it this way. This is how I want it to regulate the farms and anybody else for that matter. It doesn't even matter the farms. The state was wholeheartedly in agreement. Flat out. That's what it's meant for. This isn't meant for emergency responders. It's crazy to apply and say you have a chemical there to an emergency responder that is no longer there because it's been gone in 4 days. So we removed all those extra business plans. We said we're only going to regulate the one that you store on all the time, the one, whatever parcel that is. Typically with farmers, it's one parcel, and they bring their stuff out, from that. In many cases with us, it's no parcels because the stuff is stored in Sutter County, and so they come over, they bring their stuff over, do their stuff, and then they go back to Sutter County. So it's not even regulated here. Once we did that, nobody's happy to be regulated. Let's just face it. Nobody wants to be regulated. Nobody wants an extra bill. But she understood it was going to be me or the state. And she understood that she felt that was fair. It meant the intent of the law, regulating the material that she had on that one site. And so she did exactly what she promised. And she went back to the farmers, was an advocate for us to do it. We got the farmers in, and we actually spent a lot of time, one at a time, sitting down in their house, sitting down in their living room, talking to them, trying to eliminate the fear, because we're trying to be as gentle as possible. We understand it has to be done. In my personal opinion, I think it's hard. The farmers don't quite fit into this because this stems from the Federal Community Right to Know Act. It came about from a lot of emergency responders getting killed by chemicals that they didn't know existed in the facility. And a lot of facilities that were so close, stacked together, that you had one chemical right next to each other, separate by a thin piece of wall, that were completely incompatible. And when those things, you had a leak that kind of went through the wall, things went up, people were dying. Farmers are a little bit tougher, but there's no getting around it. The state's going to require us to do it 100%, just like it. And they go through, like I said, we just went through it. They pull every file. They look at every inspection. They look at how many facilities we have. If your inspection frequencies don't meet 90%, you're immediately in deficiency, and you got to get that corrected. So we oftentimes now have to do Herculean efforts to get back up to 90% because we usually run. 20 years ago, we ran at about 85% on a regular basis. Now we're running at about 72% inspection frequency, and we're just getting overwhelmed with the amount of facilities. But the state also understands that if I hire one more person, that spreads that cost among the businesses I have, because the state requires me to be fully fee supported. The county requires me to be fully fee supported. I have to collect that money to run the program. There's no choice. And if I add one more person, you're talking about an instant 40% increase in our budget, because we're running at, right now, we ran at 2.4 20 years ago. We're running at 2.2 20 years later. We started at 350 businesses. Now we're almost at 600 businesses. Of those 600 businesses, there's multiple programs. We're at almost 1,300 so it's extremely difficult.
So,
And I understand the comment. I do.
yeah. So I have a follow-up question. If it's by parcel and all that, could I meet with you individually and get that criteria of what triggers this bill and so I can go talk to the farmers in my district and say, hey, look, if you have this and, if you have two parcels and you're doing this one and this one, you can get those amounts down lower and then you'd be exempt.
You're never going to be exempt because the quantities are so much. You might be able to get down to a smaller, because you're looking at 55 gallons.
Yeah, but like what I did personally, Clark, I get rid of my on-site tanks and I just take my pickup into Lakeview and get diesel and then go fill my tractor.
That's exactly the answer.
So it exempted me on that. So if I can just go educate my constituents in the ag community, if you do these things.
And honestly, John, Supervisor Messick, we do that on a regular basis. We sit down with them.
Well, not this one in particular, because he calls me on a regular basis.
I'm pretty sure I know which one it is. I've been dealing with him for 20 years. So yeah, I understand.
Well, and I had another.
If there's something I can do to help with that, I would definitely help.
I had another one actually in Rennick's district that called just because I know him, and he emailed me. He's, John, I'm 81 years old. I only work in my shop basically in my own stuff, and now I got $1,000 bill every year for this stuff. So if we could go to a guy like that and educate him as well.
And unfortunately for me, I'm completely fixed. So our budget's completely fixed. It's basically salary, wages, and benefits. It's what I'm assigned from CDSA as far as their support, what I'm assigned from other county departments. So if you look back in history, when I started in 2005, A87, it was zero. Now my 87 charge this year is $123,000. My CDSA charge for support for CDSA was zero. We did have an extra employee that did cover some of that. Now it's $236,000 or something like that this year. So you're looking at just those two items alone. You're looking at almost $400,000 increase in budget. That has nothing. It's not that it doesn't support me. It does support us, but that's a huge increase that's beyond my way to fix it. So we're actually have stayed the same. Environmental health actually was 12 people in, before 2005. It went to 10 in 2010, and now we're at 8 in 2026. So it's not from us staffing up. It's literally fixed costs that are coming in. I was just looking at my insurance thing that's assigned me. I was below, I think, $5,000 in 2005. It's $65,000 in this next budget. And here's just so you understand how fast it is. So I can only charge, whatever group of businesses I have. I don't have a bigger pool, so that has to be divided among that pool. And then when I have a large jump in fees, in fixed costs, I immediately have to jump my fees. I don't have any choice. I'm absolutely stuck. And you're trying to make it black. So it's a very fun game to try to just set the fees at a perfect spot so I don't make money, but I don't lose money. So it's a tough thing to do. And my staff, but just for you guys to know, is fully cognizant of fees. They do not like fee increases. My staff do not like it because and many of these are friends that we regulate. So.
Through the chair. I've had a few interactions with Coupa throughout the years. In Butte County and Sutter County, Butte County with the railroad, Sutter County with power plant industry, Yuba County. I was the transit manager for several years. And so I know you guys make it as easy as you can compared to those other counties. It seems like they make it real difficult. So being able to submit paperwork for the guys that work on paper, it's a lot easier if you can submit the paperwork. They'll supply you the information, like how to fill it out. They'll give you the person's phone number. They'll come meet with you. They'll look at what you have on site, what kind of containment, what kind of tanks, what sizes. They'll make recommendations. They help you tailor it to get it down so it's manageable. And then they give you a checklist of all the spill prevention plans, above ground tanks, all the things programs that you're going to be enrolled in, and help you figure out how to reduce it. So I'd say just continue that as best you can. I know it sounds with 600 businesses kind of difficult, but it's that stuff's very helpful. And then
if you have to navigate through the state, it'd be a whole lot more difficult. So happy to keep it in-house. And on the other side of it too, I just kind of want to keep challenging you to make it as easy as possible to do the filings. If there's systems that come about, be on the leading edge of that. And if there's any way we can reduce roadside dumping, you know, because all these farmers, they end up with 55-gallon drums dumped out off of Earl Road and things like that all the time. You see it everywhere. So if there's any way we can make it easier, it probably would reduce that cost too. So maybe we could factor that into making an investment somewhere else. So,
Absolutely agree, because we're the ones that oftentimes have to go by, pick up those 55-gallon drums.
yeah.
So we know.
Then I had one more question, because you handle the green waste facility cleanup out off Feather River Boulevard and on a different side of your business, but could that kind of facility fall into into the same category as one of the dangerous chemical release style? Because they could have.
No, the acutely hazardous chemical facilities, it's called the list of lists. There's a fixed list. These are extremely dangerous chemicals. There are chemicals that if they release and you're in it, you die.
Okay. So when they're grinding,
there's a specific list for them.
There's no update to that, like with microplastics or certain types of dangerous gases from burning paints, things like that.
No, and a lot of those probably wouldn't go in our group, because they'd probably end up being air quality.
Okay.
Sounds like.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Through the chair. For the last 10 years, we've been the fastest growing county per capita in the state. And I don't know if you guys get notified of any of that. 17 years, we doubled our assessed valuation. We have 4,700 projects going on currently in the South County. And we're growing, and we're still growing, because we've got 2,700 in planning right now. So we're going to be growing on a yearly basis. You know, people say, well, we have a housing problem. You have a housing problem. We don't have a housing problem. We do about 400 homes per year and have for the past 10 years. So people are going, where's all this stuff coming from? Well, that's what happens when you make it easy to go in the building department. And
our staff feels it. I mean,
okay.
growing it very hard, very, very steep rate. And like, you know, just getting back to it, the difficulty is especially in the environmental health or even the CUPA program, it's incremental. One staff is a huge, you know, right? So, and the state, just let you know, the Unified Program Director at the Cal EPA was an ex-CUPA manager from Calaveras County and actually lives in Pioneer. He knows agriculture. He runs a farm himself. He knows the cost. He knows the cost to small communities. So the state's been very lenient on us regarding staffing, and knowing that the next staff, if we hire one more, how big a hit it is.
So I had a few questions. First off, great presentation. You really hit a lot of details that I was interested in. So thank you. You did a great job there. Banked it out. On the inspections, we're performing under 90%, which is what I think the constituents want to hear. And then we have to raise it up to whatever the state minimum is. Otherwise, the state's going to ding us or threaten to decertify us or whatever. So we're doing the absolute minimum inspections possible.
We're doing minimum or maximum. We're doing the maximum that we can do and trying to push it to 90%.
All right. And then as far as regionalization, the state is obviously a bad answer because of the increase in fees. The counties, obviously Yuba-Sutter converge and do stuff together on a lot of things. Would it be advantageous to have one department for both places that did that? So that, because you mentioned a couple things and I guess I couldn't put it together. You mentioned that there's very few inspections that are being done under these certification requirements. So we have to get certified, but then we only do a couple of inspections a year or one inspection a year on the one side. But on the other side, there's these inspections that have to happen to meet that 90% criteria, and I'm not able to put that together. And then there's an FTE requirement is there a requirement from the state that we have so many employees?
So what the state does is a time task analysis. It looks at how many inspections we're going to do, what type they are, approximate time it takes. And that includes, you have to include a lot of stuff, training, how many days you're going to be absent. I mean, there's a lot that goes into time task analysis, and that determines an FTE amount, right? What the approximate FTE is to fully implement the program.
So would grouping with Sutter County make it where the FTE requirement would not help with that, or no, it would save us because of the inspection certification costs?
It'd be the exact same. It just take all theirs and it just put us under one thing. And I think, yeah, and it'd be very complex too, because the way the law is written, each county has to be a Coupa.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to get rid of your Coupa and another county is going to run your Coupa, it's going to go into what's called a participating agency, which is very complex. So it's made for areas like LA and stuff where there's a lot of little cities and they want to do part of the programs, but not all the programs. But yeah, that would be, it wouldn't be as cost savings.
Okay.
Although, even though we do a couple things, we do waste tires and we do solid waste for Sutter County.
All right. And so can't go to the state. That's going to be more expensive. No cost savings. Do it with Sutter County. And we're not going to kick it down to reclamation districts or something else below us because it's our responsibility at the lowest tier. And it's a mandate from above.
Definitely a mandate from above, yep.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Dismissed.
Thank you.
All right. Mary, you want to read public communication?
Yes, any person may speak about any subject of concern, provided it is within the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors and is not already on today's agenda. The total amount of time allotted for receiving such public communication shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes, and each individual or group will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Prior to this time, speakers are requested to fill out a request to speak card and submit it to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors. Please note, no board action can be taken on comments made under this heading. And through the chair, we have one card, and that is Tony Farley.
Thank you, Chief Stockton, for his service. County Administrator. Thank you, Jan Bender, for his service. McGeorge. Thank you, number George graduate. Seth Fuller for his service, plus taxes and bullion, gold coins, all that. Thank you, Supervisor Mesk, for his service. Thank you, Greg Bradford, for his Captain Sacramento. I like that. Supervisor House, the house. Eddie Vasquez, the Vietnam War veteran at the POW MIA Bridge. Well, Veteran Club, NATO. Thank you, Rachel, for her service. Thank you, Elias, for his service. Elias, thank you, Sarah and Oscar, for his service. Thank you to Sheriff Department, Under Sheriff, and Will Emerson Sheriff. Thank you, Dr. Lou, for his service. The Ivy League type girl. Thank you, Jennifer, for her service. Thank you, Sam, for her service. And thank you, and thank you, the county Yuba, for her service. And thank you, the probation chief for her service. Probation chief for her service. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Tony. Did we have any other public comment for something that's not on the agenda? All right, then we will proceed to county departments. 98.
Agenda item 98-2026, County Clerk, Recorder, Register of Voters, approve necessary budget adjustments request following the November 4th, 2025 statewide special elections.
Good morning. Donna Hilligus, County Clerk. And I'm here today to ask you to approve a budget transfer. And the crux of this transfer is allocating the state funds received for reimbursement of conducting the November 2025 special election. What we've done in that reimbursement and reallocation is to try and cover some of the unanticipated expenses we have coming in conducting the Congressional District 1 special election, which has been consolidated sort of with the June primary. Those elections have been consolidated, but they will run on different timelines. And the consequence is that we will be asked to certify basically the full election in 9 days. And so that's going to pose a challenge for us. And it's one of the underlying principles of how we allocated out this transfer. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have regarding the request.
Chair, are you going to send Governor Newsom's thank you card?
Through the chair, just a quick question because it's a increase of $354,000. So, and that's all reimbursable though, correct? From
I believe that, let me check my numbers. It's mostly reimbursement from the state. The state allocated us $350,000. So we are transferring $354,000, which was an increase in the election services that occurred in prep for the June primary candidate filing fees and such.
okay. All right. Well, I'd move for approval.
Checks in the mail.
I'll second. All right. And I guess my question is normally the certifications is like 20 or 30 days?
30 days, correct.
Okay. And so it's 9 days because of the strange timeline. And then you're going to be doing another special election in, is it like November or sorry, for the August for the second part?
And there is the possibility of a second election in August in the event that no candidate for Congressional District 1 receives 50% plus one of the vote. Then that would trigger the need for a general election, which has already been called for August the 4th.
Okay. And how many candidates are there for that election right now?
We actually, candidate filing, the actual nomination period has not opened yet. And so we don't know that number.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. We will do a roll call vote. Public comment on this issue? Mary, you said there was one?
Yeah.
Okay. No public comment. We'll proceed to a roll call vote. Thank you.
Yes, through the chair, if I could just have who did the motion and the second, please?
House motion.
Bradford, second.
Perfect. Supervisor Vasquez?
Yes.
Supervisor House?
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr?
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford?
Yes.
Supervisor Messick?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 66.
Item 66-2026, County Administrator, adopt resolution permitting formation of a school facilities improvement district within the Yuba Community College District.
Good morning, Board. Sean Powers, Assistant County Administrator, presenting this item on behalf of the Yuba Community College District. The district sent a letter to the county requesting that they're in the exploratory phase of approving an SFID or a School Facilities Improvement District. Roughly what that lets you do is draw a geographic boundary within your district to issue general obligation bonds for future projects to be levied against property taxes, kind of short and sweet. So the district is in the exploratory phase of this by approving this resolution. Other actions would still have to come forward from the College Board, specifically whatever the package would look like, and calling the election, and should go to an election ultimately voted on by the people within the boundary. They did indicate the letter they are looking at an election sometime in 26, but I don't think that decision has been made yet. The district took action in December to with their board to adopt the resolution on their side. So then the resolution then comes before your board for consideration. This is not uncommon for the board. We did approve an SFID for Wheatland Unified back in June of 2022. So for any district interested in forming an SFID, this has come before your board. So with that, be open to any questions.
Through the chair, not a question, just a comment. I know in the past I've seen comments on social media, understandably so, with previous bonds of Yuba College being paid by the broader Yuba College District, which covers a wide geographic area, has a lot of campuses, and that, maybe a disproportionate amount of those funds being spent outside the Yuba-Sutter area. So I think this is a great way to allow, should the college move forward with a bond, should the voters approve that, it allows Yuba-Sutter residents specifically to weigh in on that, and then it allows those funds to be spent specifically in Yuba-Sutter. And so I think it addresses those concerns that were expressed by the community. So I think it's a good idea. Any other comment?
Through the chair. Yeah, I guess they had an informational day last week. I didn't get invited to, or a couple weeks ago. But so Yuba Community College didn't really supply. They supplied a request letter, but they didn't state what the projects were going to be or what they intended on doing. So I don't think we should move forward with this until there's a more penciled out plan of what this special district would encompass. I get it. It's an improvement. It's creating an improvement zone for whatever they see is going to be that map. But I don't think it gives us any information to vote on other than that we're allowing them to create a map that hasn't been determined of its boundaries or what the intention of the district is. So I just, in my opinion, this is a little early in this process.
You're moving to table it?
Through the chair, just a question for Sean based on the staff report. Isn't the proposed boundary Yuba and Sutter County?
My understanding is correct. That is just to be the 2 counties of the 8 counties that the
and then
district encompasses.
Any future bond proposal would have the legal requirements to define what projects that would be used for, at which time should the college board decide to put something on the ballot. Is that correct?
Correct. Typical process would be they would have a rate, project list, and a good description on that when they're actually moving forward with the item.
Through the chair, my concern is that they have a district that has used their money to renovate other campuses, and I get that this would give us our own district map for just our facility, but ultimately, I think it should be laid out a little clearer what the intention is, because if we built a campus in Woodland and now we're wanting to have our own district to build a campus here or to repair our campus here, maybe the whole district should still should foot the bill, the others in the other parts of the district. But it doesn't outline any of that in this. It's a request letter request, and then did we generate this? Hang on, I've got to go back on here. Did we generate the resolution as a county, or did they create that?
The supervisor house, the resolution was created by their bond council and then reviewed by your county council as well.
Any other? Go ahead.
Through the chair. I'm going to disagree with you, Rennick, and I'll tell you why. I don't care what their bond is. I won't vote for it personally. I think most of these school bonds are extremely hard on the farmers because it's a dollar value on property and it ends up costing us the most and businesses. So I'm never in favor of any school bond unless they're going to tax actual homes that have effects on schools. However, I think it ought to be their right to put it on the ballot and let the voters decide. So however it comes out. So I don't think us voting to approve to put it on the ballot is thus supporting the bond. It's just supporting their right to put it on the ballot and then make their case to the voters, let the voters decide.
Supervisor Messick, that's essentially correct. Because your board ultimately approves the tax rates on general obligation bonds, the option to move forward with the exploratory phase is why that falls back to the board for approval for it to move forward.
Andy, anything? Is there anybody from Yuba College here?
Yuba College, their hand
From
in
the
their
board,
pocket.
Chase Steele from the county council's office. I don't represent Yuba College, I represent the county, but I spoke to John Kim, who is the community college district's bond counsel for this process, and he said that he was going to be on Zoom. And prior to coming over here, I looked, and it looked like he was. So,
Mary,
if he's still on there, he would.
Hi, this is John Kim. Sorry about that. Greetings, Board of Supervisors. This is John Kim from Jones Hall. I'm the Yuba CCD's bond counsel. That's correct. This is a preliminary step. Understood on what the supervisor says about how preliminary this is and how there isn't more information yet. Before the Yuba Community College District can even designate the improvements that need improving, they have to go through public hearing. And there is a process under Education Code Section 15320 to 15-327, which requires the Yuba CCD to provide notice to the general public and afterwards have a public hearing where they will provide the map of the boundaries and the improvements that they are considering. And then even after that, they'll require, and once the SFID is formed, then it'll have to go to the to the public for election.
All right, thank you, John. And then we had some public comment.
Yes, first one we have is Joanne Lesage.
So good morning. Is that on? Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Joanna Lasaga, and I'm the chair of the Yuba County Republicans. I'm here today to strongly oppose the approval of the proposed school facilities improvement districts for Yuba College. In 2006, voters across Yuba Community College District, which include 8 counties, Colusa, Sutter, Yuba, Glen, Butte, Placer, Lake, and Yolo, approved a $190 million bond measure. Taxpayers made a major investment in this district with the understanding that the funds would address critical repairs and improvements to our campuses, especially the main Yuba College campus on Northfield Road. Those bonds will not be fully paid off until 2050, meaning taxpayers will be paying on that debt for another 25 years. Half of us will be dead. The expectation was clear: to fix the existing campuses and address critical infrastructure needs first. The district identified urgent repairs, roofing, mold remediation, electrical systems, and basic facility issues. But that is not what happened. Instead of prioritizing the maintenance and repair of existing buildings, the district spent funds purchasing additional land and expanding into new projects. New campuses and centers were built in Sutter, Lake, and Colusa. The Performing Arts Center in Woodland alone cost over $43 million. Consuming more than a third of the entire bond. There was also a multi-million-dollar soccer complex built at the Woodland campus. Meanwhile, the main Yuba College campus, the heart of our district, continued to deteriorate. Many of the critical repairs that were promised were never fully completed. Now we are being told that we must approve another financing mechanism, an SFID, that would place yet another tax burden specifically on the Yuba-Sutter area to fix the very problems that were supposed to be addressed by the 2006 bond measure. To make matters worse, the Woodland Community College is now planning to leave the Yuba Community College District and merge with the Los Rios District. Yet taxpayers here would still be responsible for paying the bond debt used to build facilities there. So let me ask the obvious question. Why should taxpayers be asked to pay again for repairs that we were already taxed for? And the voters invested $190 million in good faith. Unfortunately, the Board of Trustees made a series of poor decisions with those funds. That failure of stewardship should not become a second tax burden on the residents of Yuba and Sutter counties. Taxpayers cannot be treated like an endless funding source to fix the consequences of past financial mismanagement. For these reasons, I respectfully urge the Yuba County Board of Supervisors to deny the request to create the School Facilities Improvement District. The solution is not another bond. The solution is accountability. Thank you.
We have a second comment.
Yes, second person is Connie Walzak.
Hi, good morning. Yuba College has always been the heartbeat of our local education. Generations of families have attended Yuba College. The current condition and situation of Yuba College campus is heartbreaking. The deterioration of the main campus did not happen overnight. It is the result of years and years of neglect, even after the $190 million bond was passed in 2006. In 2020, Yuba College tried to pass another bond, and that bond was a whopping $228.4 million. That bond was defeated by 63%. Where did the $190 million go from the 2006 bond? Why is our Yuba College campus still in need of millions of dollars in repairs? Years after that bond passed, our campus still had leaky roofs, HVAC issues, electrical, and entire wings of classrooms that were shut down, signs saying stay out. So myself and others started digging. We did a lot of digging. We discovered that the state chancellor's office completed an inspection of the main campus in 2019, 13 years after they passed the bond. They identified $125 million in critical repairs that didn't include any systems such as electrical. Why wasn't our campus updated and repaired? Our community had the expectation when they voted in that outlined ballot measure. The Yuba College Board has repeatedly let the community and the taxpayers down with their poor decisions. Given the time limit of just 3 minutes, we are unable to share the full scope of our investigations. The lack of answers, even after filing several FOIA requests, it is frightening that no one could give us accurate and correct answers. We respectfully request that the Board of Supervisors postpone the vote today on the SFID and allow us the opportunity to present our findings at your April 14th meeting. We owe it to our community.
Thank you. Was there any other public comment on this issue?
Yes, we do. We have Joe Hendricks.
Thank you. First of all, you make some tough decisions. Thank you for stepping up to do that for our community. I really appreciate that. And we have invested in Yuba College. We've invested in the Yuba Community College District as a community here. And from what I understand from looking at the agenda and listening, Yuba College is in the beginning phases, exploratory phases of looking at this. And what they're doing, my understanding in this exploratory phase, is asking you for permission to have our community to bear 100% the cost of what's going to have, of the upgrades or what they want to do, even though we don't know what they're going to do, after we've invested in not only our community, but our community still paying for the investment to do work in Sutter County, in Lake County, in Yolo County, in Colusa County. And now I, as a citizen who have my kids in this school, have my kids in Yuba College, we've done work at Yuba College to help beautify it. I'm not opposed to Yuba College, but as I said, they're in the exploratory phases. And I think it's too early to get your permission for them to have our community bear all of the cost of whatever they want to do, after we've been so willing to bear the cost of other counties to improve the education in our entire region. I really struggle with that. And I think once this gets off the starting blocks, the entire community is going to be struggling with this. So I would ask that you either not approve it, have them come back with more information, or table it at the very least. And in that phase, as you're learning, I believe when you're investing in something, we give people a lot of money and then we ask them, what did you do with the money, before they come back and ask for a lot more money. And I haven't heard it. I'm just the community member, but I have not heard that. I have heard them at the beginning of considering doing more work at Yuba College or the Sutter County campus. They're asking for your permission to have us bear 100% of the cost. Can you confidently say you know how much of the cost of all of the work that's been done in the Yuba Community College District? How much of that is our community funded for the other schools? And we all know that once these things get out of the blocks, it's just the nature of the beast. There's a lot of money put into marketing. A lot of our taxpayer dollars, I think, if I understand how our tax dollars work, get to be used to market a bond on our community. Where were the town hall meetings in this exploratory phase? Where was your community involved in this exploratory phase before they come to you and ask you for your permission to have us bear the cost by ourselves when we've been a good partner? Please don't approve this today. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. All right, if there's no other public comment.
Through the chair.
Board comment?
Just a quick board comment. So
I do want to make sure everybody kind of realizes this, that they already have a district with boundaries where they can do these exploratory phases, and they can come up with calculations to tell us ahead of time what our district would look like if we created another special district. That's why I'm pushing that we don't need another district here today. And then if they want to run a bond and they want to spend time and money, they have another district already created that they can investigate throughout. And they can give options to their trustees that way, so they don't have to just give a Yuba-Sutter County option. So I'm sure they can run it through without us creating a special district because they already have a district. But that's just why I'm still going to say no to voting on this. But I just want you guys to know that the reason why is because of that specific. They already have the district. They already have the ability to run these numbers, do these studies, and if their trustees decided that was the route to go, they would send it to us at that point. Yeah. So,
Okay.
And there wasn't anything supplied.
Well, if there's no motion, we'll table it.
Well, I had a question through the chair. Now I'm even more confused. I thought they're coming to us to ask permission to put their measure on the ballot for the November election.
Supervisor Benedict, no, this is to start the process to form the SFID. This is as far as the whole process from forming the SFID and being on the ballot, this is on the very front end of that process.
Oh, okay.
It's not to call the election.
I understand. So that's the ultimate goal, is to get a bond, possibly. I don't know why they need our permission to study about putting a bond on the ballot.
John,
They're changing.
They don't. They need our permission to form another special
Split the
district.
district into different, through the chair.
Okay.
Maybe to revisit what Wheatland High School District did as an example. So they had kind of a similar situation in which they have taxpayers across kind of a broad district, and they wanted to have multiple facilities within that district. And so they came to this board as required by, I believe, Education Code, asked this board to create a school facilities district that essentially split the Wheatland High School District in two. One portion of the district was essentially concurrent with the boundaries of the Plumas Lake Elementary District. The other was concurrent with the boundaries of the Wheatland Elementary School District. And the reason that they did that is so that they could ask Plumas Lake voters to vote on and fund 100% of the construction of a high school within Plumas Lake that would benefit the Plumas Lake residents. And they could do that without asking the residents of Wheatland to contribute to that. They could then go to the Wheatland residents and ask them to fund upgrades to the campus that was in their community. And so they were able to separate who pays for which facilities in which community and who gets to vote on that. And that's essentially what Yuba College is asking us to do here, is to say, you know, separate out the Yuba-Sutter area so that only Yuba-Sutter votes on, pays for, and benefits from bonds that benefit the Yuba-Sutter area. So that's essentially what they're doing. And then should they choose to move forward with putting a bond on the ballot, that would be their choice, and then that would be the voters' choice whether or not to approve that. But I still think it's very, especially given the, again, I believe valid criticism, and we heard it today, that we have paid money for facilities in others' communities. This prevents that from happening in the future, and it ensures that any funds the voters approve are spent here in our community.
However, I have a follow-up question on that. So it's Yuba-Sutter area. So if they do put a bond on it and it gets approved, they could spend 100% of those funds in Sutter County improving that school over there and not Yuba.
Sure, if that's what their bond says, or that's what their Board of Trustees votes for, then that'd be my understanding, yeah.
So this vote is just for us to approve them of splitting their district into just Yuba and Sutter County.
For the purpose of a bond.
Supervisor Messick, you're mostly correct there. Yes, it's to form a custom boundary to start the planning process on what that package would look like. That's ultimately what the board would be approving today.
And right now, their boundary, I guess I don't have.
Is there an entire
Supervisor Messick, my understanding, they're about 4,200 square miles. They're in 8 counties as far as their total service area.
Yeah. All right.
And through the chair, just so if they already have a special district that covers Yuba, Sutter, Colusa, and wherever Woodland's at, covers everybody. My question is why they wouldn't. I know they want to tailor it to where it will pass.
If it gets spent here, it'll pass, or the best pool of voters is going to pass it. Nobody in Colusa County or Woodland who just got their new campuses, nobody's going to vote to increase $200 million because they already have their new campus. So I understand that's why they want to split it. But I would just urge that they already have a special district, and in order to, they haven't said, hey, we're not going to take Colusa, Glen. Like, my kids can register. I'm registering my daughter for classes. She can register at Woodland campus. She can register in Colusa. She can register here. It's still going to be open to all these students, and they're still all connected. But so I think they should just stay within their special district. And then if they brought back something that showed that the way it benefits Yuba County, or they did these town hall meetings or anything like that to get feedback from people in the district or that would be affected in Yuba and Sutter counties, then maybe we could have a little bit more support for something like this. But for now, yeah, my 2 cents.
Did the auditor want to speak, or?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Rich Eberly, Auditor Controller. I was going to come up and offer some explanation about the SFID, but Mr. Bradford did an excellent job of articulating what those purposes were. And like he said, the SFID is basically just setting boundaries for future action. And the case of the Wheatland High School District is an excellent example of what has already happened in the county. And I think that I just want to make sure we articulated that. I don't want to leave anything hanging there, but Supervisor Bradford did a great job of articulating that information. And again, also they have existing boundaries in the 8 counties that are affected by the Yuba Community College District. The Auditor Controller's Office is the one that calculates any bond rates that are related to the debt service for any of those elections. And we bring those to your board typically in the fall for approval. So any additional questions that I can answer for that, but I want to articulate that, but Supervisor Bradford did a good job.
All right, thank you.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So if we did approve this, which it sounds like we're probably not going to, but just hypothetically, if we do, what's going to be the cost to the county and your office?
There's no additional cost that we do. We do these this is part of our job, is do these calculations. There's no necessary additional cost. It's mostly administrative for that, just running the numbers on the bond rates and that kind of thing. So I'm not sure what information do you need, I guess is my question.
I guess you're going to have to figure out, in my mind, you're going to have to figure out how much we pay for the existing bond that went everywhere. And then if there's another bond, you're going to have to figure that out just for Yuba and Sutter, or just for Yuba County.
Correct. There's a number.
I guess it wouldn't matter anyway.
There's a number of bonds that already exist on the tax list to begin with for the various school districts. And we calculate those, and those are all bounded geographically. And so we use the property values within those boundaries to calculate the bond rates. So I don't know.
Does the equivalent of A87 charges get sent to Yuba College for your staff time?
No, that's not part of it. It's a great question, but no, it doesn't. That concept doesn't apply here. There's other ways.
So then there is a cost in that.
There's
and those charges are going to get passed on to community development and environmental planning because.
That's a longer discussion than we can go today, but the answer is not really. It doesn't get passed on.
As far as this resolution goes, I believe it's in the last paragraph. The community college district has agreed to reimburse the county on any actual costs the county incurs throughout the entire process.
Thank you.
So I don't know that it'll pass, but I'll move to approve.
Is there a second? How long do I have to wait before motion dies? We're good? All right. Moving on. Thank you.
If I could, to the board, if we could give some direction back to the college on what next steps the board might like, given that we didn't get a second on that, I'd like to be able to communicate that to them.
Through the chair. My recommendation would just be that they have an existing district. So if they could propose what information they can on what the benefit of establishing a new district would be, and how the previous funds were spent in Yuba County, what our portion was out of the money that we're bonding our residents against.
It sounded like there was a request for an April 14th presentation. So if they would like to come on April 14th and maybe present how the previous bonds were spent, and then there can be a little mock rebuttal, and it'll be lots of fun.
I think I would like to add that if there was funds that were spent in Yolo County, let's say, and now that district wants to leave to another district, how are we going to get reimbursed for that? Is that other district going to pay back the portion of the bonds, or
Through the chair,
there's just not enough information really for me?
Through the chair, I think my recommendation that I'm getting from the board is before we'd hear this item again, we'd like to get a presentation from the college district on past bonds, plans for the current bonds, and then give the public to weigh in on that presentation. I think that's the consensus I'm hearing from the board at this time.
So why don't we arrange for a 15-minute presentation from the counter bond side and a 15-minute presentation from the Yuba College side on April 14th?
I'm not sure if the district can put that available then, but I'll definitely communicate that back to them and see what we can get scheduled.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on then to item 97.
97, County Administrator approved memorandum of understanding with Golden State Finance Authority to provide cost reimbursement for participation in a regional jail medical care feasibility study and authorized chair to execute.
Good morning again. Sean Powers, Assistant County Administrator. Before your board today is a memorandum of understanding with the Golden State Finance Authority. That's actually a subsidiary of RCRC. This is a very interesting project that's been in the work for a little over a year now. Jail medical is a significant cost to all counties, specifically rural counties, for medical care that we have to provide for people in our care and custody. So very unique timing for the county. This work was going on while our county was going out to RFP to award to a new vendor our jail medical services. But this approach through RCRC is doing a very regional approach, on what some best practices are as such for how jail medical should be provided. There's actually a very good summary that was Exhibit B to the staff report that talks about the deliverables of the study, focusing on needs assessment, service delivery models, performance, comparative cost analysis, roadmap for implementation, and also reporting and presentation. So the nice about making this a regional approach is our county will only have to pay for a portion of that. We've kind of been grouped into what they call the Sac-Sierra region, basically all of our neighbors in the North Sacramento area, and our portion of this MOU would only be $33,500 and change out of about basically $380,000 project. I think the results that will come out of this will both benefit our existing contract for any amendments or future renewals as we navigate the interesting course of action that has to do with jail medical. We are funding this through behavioral health dollars through existing appropriations, so I thank HHS for that. And with that, I would open up any questions from the board.
No questions, but just a quick comment for my fellow board members and for staff. RCRC and GSFA do some amazing things for rural counties in California. So I'm glad to see us participating in this, and I fully support it. And I know with them leading it, it'll be very impressive.
Any public comment?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we'll move on to the next item, Mary.
Yes, next item is 100-2026, County Administrator adopt resolution adopting the Yuba Wildlife Program policy for the appropriation of county fish and game and deer mitigation funds.
Good morning again. Sean Powers, Assistant County Administrator. Very happy to be presenting this item. This has been kind of on the to-do list for a while. This is kind of where the future is going for what used to be the Fish and Game Commission and how funds would be allocated to support fish and game and outdoor activities. Historically, we did have a Fish and Game Commission that would award a portion of the fines that are administered by Fish and Game that are supposed to go back into programs to support outdoor recreation activities. And back in 2016, our process evolved a little bit, and the board did, at a meeting, decide to not have the Fish and Game Commission exist anymore. So there was kind of a what to do next. So kind of bringing this back full circle, what we've proposed is putting together essentially a grant program on how to put those funds to work. It's both the fines that come from Fish and Game and also some impact fees that we have on deer mitigation for loss of wildlife habitat. So we've basically put a policy together that very much mirrors your DPF policy that your board just approved it, and basically run it like a grant program We have a pretty simple 4-page policy, has what those funds can be used, whom for and by, and follow the spirit of what the Fish and Game Commission did award those funds for, and also a very simple 2-page application on how those funds are requested by established entities. We very much tie it into the budget process like anything else we award, but there's also a provision in the policy at any given time they can bring a special to your board if they want to request something outside of the budget cycle. So want to thank Dale Whitmore. He's been instrumental in helping me get this to your board, and very happy to be presenting today. And with that, be open up to any questions the board would have.
Through the chair. I'm excited to see this, Dale. Good job getting this back out. But I'd love to see some youth hunts in our county again, some turkey hunts up there. Maybe we could partner with the UC system up there at the rec center. There'd been talks of it a couple years ago at some of the meetings we had with the cooperative extension, but so I'd love to just help in that process any chance we can to put that in the forefront. And I know there's going to be a lot of probably environmental groups and education type entities that want to apply, but I think it's important that we kind of steer that toward things that we used to be able to do with these funds. So thank you for bringing it back.
Any other comment? Any public comment?
I did have another comment.
Please.
It was basically the same comment that Rennick just made. So Dale, I know you've been working on this for a couple of years. I know you're here somewhere. I don't see you, but been working on it for several years. So thank you for your efforts. And it would be great to see those funds put to youth hunting programs.
Very good. Public comment.
Yes, Dale Whitmore.
Yes, thank you very much. It's been 10 years since we last had a county fish and game commission. That commission for years took on various projects, got the public involved. It's been out of business for 10 years now. This is an effort to get 501c3s involved with the program, since the county does not want to get the Fish and Game Commission restarted. And so I urge your approval of this. There are side rails on the use of these monies within the Fish and Game Code. And so the county will be supervising it. And I'm excited to get things going again and get the public involved with trying to get some wildlife work. And we have a lot of tens of thousands of acres of state lands in Yuba County. And we need to get some public involvement to start to improve those lands in various ways. Thank you very much.
Another comment?
Yes, Greg Childs.
Morning. Yeah, I'm in favor of this. I've lived in the Yuba-Sutter area for the last 30 years. I've been involved with several different wildlife organizations over the years. A lot of youth programs that were directly generated out of those. And if we could, get this going again and restart some of these programs that have kind of gone by the wayside, this would be wonderful. So I'm all for this. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll entertain a motion.
Moved.
Sorry, more comments?
I wanted to thank Kevin Mel too, because Kevin, I know, really put a lot of effort into getting this packaged in a way so it could be beneficial to the youth in our community with Dale. So that was my other comment, and I'll second that.
There was a motion?
Yeah.
Great.
Motion by House.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mary?
Correspondence. Item 89-2026, receive financial statement and independent auditor's report from Loma Rica Browns Valley Community Services District for years ending June 30, 2021 and 2022. Agenda item 93-2026, receive from Child Care Planning Council amendments to the bylaws. And we have agenda item 110-2026, receive Yuba County Digital Law Library Annual Report for fiscal year 24-25.
All right, and then we will move, I believe this is going to be Gary?
Yes. Good morning, board members. As you might recall, as part of our budget workshop in 2025, we discussed creating district priority funds for each supervisor to potentially recommend of up to $10,000 per fiscal year, that each supervisor could recommend a portion of those funds, or ultimately all of those funds over the course of the fiscal year, be allocated to projects or organizations that benefit their district, or that they want to partner maybe with other supervisors for benefits in other districts. And I believe this is the first one of those that's coming before our board for the current fiscal year. This request is from the South Yuba County Sunrise Rotary Club. It is for $4,000. They submitted the required application to me, and I forwarded it on to staff to be placed on the agenda, and I'm seeking concurrence of my fellow board members to provide that funding. So a little bit about what this is for. About a decade ago, I probably should have looked up the exact date, but the Wheatland Lions Club provided a small community Christmas tree for the community of Plumas Lake. It was planted at Ufe Wood Park. And so that we could have an annual Christmas tree lighting for the community. Let me back up. Originally, that was hosted by the Lions were a participant, as well as I think the Cub Scouts. It was predominantly put on by a local realtor in the Plumas Lake area several years ago. South Yuba Sunrise Rotary took over running that annual Christmas tree lighting, and our tree was struggling a little bit as far as it was probably near death, but it was recovering. It was doing a little bit better. And then unfortunately last October, someone vandalized the community Christmas tree and cut it down. And so there was no more Christmas tree for the Plumas Lake community. And so the Rotary has been heading up essentially an effort to replace that tree and replace it with a large, healthy Christmas tree that will serve the community for decades to come. And so the total cost of that project is about $10,000. The Rotary is making a contribution themselves. They're asking other community organizations and businesses to contribute, and they've asked the county to help with that as well. And so it is my request and recommendation that we approve up to $4,000 from my $10,000 for this fiscal year to go toward this effort. And I do know the President-elect, Aaron Kask from the Rotary Club, is here to answer any questions that I cannot answer. So
I have a question through the chair. This new tree, can you estimate how many cords of firewood will it be?
No, I will not. But I will say the Rotary Club has worked really hard. I know $10,000 sounds like an incredibly large amount of funds for a tree. The initial quotes we got from local nurseries were closer to $40,000 to purchase the tree and have it planted in Plumas, transported and planted in Plumas Lake. And so thanks predominantly to Aaron's efforts, we've been able to get that down to $10,000 through significant reduction in costs by a local nursery who is essentially providing a donation to the community. But of course, there's still transportation costs and some costs that the nursery is asking the community to bear. So,
Aaron, would you like to make a comment?
One of the things I wanted to say, so Gary did a great job of describing the process and how we got here. One of the things we're really looking to do is create a lasting symbol of the impact of community service. So we do a lot of community service within Yuba County, but it's hard to see that, right? So like when we take underprivileged kids and get them school clothes, there's nothing on those school clothes that tells everyone else like community service did that for them. But this tree would be a lasting symbol of the power of community service. So for us, that's a huge part of it too. So,
thank you.
Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah,
I'll make another comment to you and Gary. I was just down there. I ran into Gary actually at like 6:30 in the morning with my excavator. So if you need excavation services, I would donate that.
Oh, thank you.
All right, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Board and staff member reports. Andy?
Well, I'm going to use Andy's time then. Okay, I know they already left, but we're not scared. We're prepared. I got to go to a couple of those with our OES department. That was huge. And then going to the award ceremony with them, down getting statewide recognition. LA County had like 3 awards. Some of the bigger counties had 1, but to have us up there get a pretty big community engagement and impact award is just huge. And then getting to know each one of those guys a little bit better and find out, they have, their history of being teachers and parents and super engaged department. So awesome work there. I missed last meeting. I was on Zoom, but I was at NACO, which is the National Association of Counties. On there, I served California on the steering committee for economic community development and workforce development. And I was happy to help steer some of our work there. I proposed an amendment to a workforce development effort that the National Association of Counties is asking all of the leaders nationwide to help develop further programs for workforce development in youth and in schools specifically. And they asked for all of the expansion of programs, but they didn't ask for any funding in the amendment or in the committee's request. So I got to put my brain to work and got it put in there to request additional funding, like a 60% increase in funding to allow us to expand. So that was pretty big. Also, while I was there, I was able to meet with FEMA and a couple of other large agencies and see how disaster recovery works in different places, which was kind of timely with what's going on at Yuba Water Agency right now. And so, yeah, I watched a presentation and spoke with the county workers who facilitated a lot of the recovery efforts in North Carolina after major flooding events, things like that might help us in the future. Gathered resources for future concerns and helping be prepared for things that could happen in Yuba County pretty easily. And then let's see here. I just kind of wanted to put this out there. It's not really my project, but on March 26th, there will be a dedication to Officer Rodarte. So maybe if you guys could just pencil in your calendar, there will be something special the morning of March 26th. That's Thursday, March 26th. Start saving that block now. You'll hear more announcements probably in the coming week, but just want to get that on your calendars. Thank you.
Thanks. So first, I want to thank my fellow board members for your support of my district priority funding request this morning. Greatly appreciated. I know the residents of District 4 and specifically of Plumas Lake also appreciate that. So if you're available, you'll have to come out to our tree lighting this next December and see the new tree. So I was also at NACO, and one of the things I was able to do while there was meet with Congressman Thompson's office, talk about some of the impacts that HR 1 is going to have on Yuba County. So I want to thank HHS for the information you provided specific to Yuba County for that discussion, and also talk about our request for a federal grant for the Lyndhurst and North Beale project. So thanks to community development for that information. I was also able to talk about Yuba Water and the penstock incident, and the Congressman's office is certainly available and willing to do whatever they can to assist with that. Also been busy with, of course, SACOG and RCRC, a little bit of GSEC stuff, working on transitioning that over to Rennick. And then also later today, have a meeting with some folks from Senator Padilla's office. So those are probably the major things.
Great. I don't have much to report. I went to the first crafts show at the 7 Mile House. The 7 Mile House is getting redone. I noticed some county staff came through on their own time and walked through, and I thought it was a really successful thing that they're getting going out there in Hallwood, my district. So hopefully it'll continue on. I set up a booth and gave away county sunscreen, and Sarah from OES set me up for little deals for people to know their evacuation routes. So handed out information. That's it.
See ya.
Yeah. Oh, turn back off. There we go. Mary, can I keep it on? There you go. So I just wanted to make sure that it's on the board's radar, and this shouldn't be a surprise to you, but South County Sewer Project If you recall that project, it's over $100 million project. The main funding sources are a $75 million grant from the state, and then it was going to be backstopped by a loan from the Water Agency that we repaid over time as development occurred in South County. The loan from the Water Agency is not feasible at this time, obviously, of what's going on with the Penstock incident. So I've been actively working with OPUD and Wheatland and the state to see if we can come up with a solution to keep that project moving forward. I have a meeting later today with those parties to kind of talk through that issue. But I just wanted to put it on the board's radar that we really are trying to, I'm not going to say that project's on life support, but it's definitely in a precarious state right now. The good news, though, is the bids for the first contract that Wheatland opened. It was very competitive. All the bids were below the engineer's estimate, and which is great news. So like by over $20 million below the engineer's estimate. So that's giving us hope that the next contract, that those bids will be opened up April 1st. That OPUD's opening up, that hopefully they're substantially lower too, so that then the total contract amounts between those two gets low enough that between the $75 million from the state and maybe some local sources other than the Water Agency, we can figure out how to keep this project alive. So just wanted to make sure the board was aware. I may have to come to the board at an April meeting with kind of a summary of the project, and there may be an ask on the county's part to help with some of that. But at this point, it's just kind of making sure the board's aware of what's going on with that project.
Through the chair, just a question for you, Kevin. Where are we at with our, in our budgetary process? Just, I've seen a lot of counties present, you know, the steps that it takes to build a budget. It's multi-month or half a year of steps. Where are we at right now?
Right. So department budgets, they're due to my office actually this Friday, and then from there, then we go through an analysis process of the submittals from each department. We have one-on-one meetings my office does with each department and their submittals. That happens in April, and then we pull that package together to kind of put together the CAO recommended budget, which is basically the interim spending plan. That gets reviewed by the Finance Committee, which is the chair and vice chair, along with our auditor controller and the treasurer. And then that package is presented to the board first meeting in June. That when that's adopted, then that we at least have an interim spending plan in place for the county effective July 1. Then we have our budget workshops in August, where the board kind of goes through each department's budget requests. And then the actual budget, the adopted budget, the county's budget, happens in September.
Can we see something prior to the July passing of the interim budget?
So that will be in June, and that's where what is seen as the two board members, the chair and vice chair, are the ones that review that package before the full board reviews it, just like any other committee type of assignment. So and that's assigned to the chair and vice chair to review.
And are there some community engagement dates as well? Like, is there other than our board workshop date, is there a community engagement for feedback on the budget process, things like that?
Yeah, so that budget workshop process is the opportunity for the community to observe. That's where we go into detail on what each department is planning, what they've accomplished the previous year and what they're planning to deliver as far as services that year. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of community engagement on that. I recognize that. It's rare we have a member of the public there, but that's really the public's opportunity to hear firsthand what each department has been doing and plans to do. And then it's an opportunity for the public to kind of weigh in and provide their input to the board before the board makes the final decision in September on the budget.
Is there any chance we could move that a week earlier? Because I think that's like the starting week of school every year. But
we did move it a week earlier this year because of your comment from last year.
All right. Yep. Sounds great. Because I think we might even get more involvement if it's during the summer break for some parents.
Yeah, and we can if the board has consensus there, we can advertise that more and push that more through our social media and et cetera, and on our webpage to make sure that the public is aware of that's their opportunity to hear firsthand what departments are doing and to provide their input.
Legal counsel?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Clerk, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. I forgot some stuff, so
Clerk?
go around.
Nothing, thank you.
John's third addendum?
My third, yeah, okay. So the things I forgot, not this weekend, but the following weekend, 20th, 21st, 22nd is going to be a busy weekend for all of us. It's Buckeye. They moved Buckeye into late March this year. I know at least 3 of us are running the 10K, Gary and Seth and myself.
Walking.
Walking.
5K.
They might do the 5K. I think I'm committed to it. I think I'm committed to the 10K. And we also have a booth at the home show for that Friday night, Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to get the schedule together because I think Rachel Olson's manning it, part of their staff's manning it some of the times, because we're also in the parade, riding in the old car with Rennick. So if any of you guys would like to volunteer to set at the home show at our booth, it's going to be outside, hopefully great weather. And we'll fill in. I did it last year and it was really great. Got to see a lot of my constituents and yours. I would say Plumas Lake had a huge showing of people. So I'll try to work on getting that schedule together and see if you guys want to take any times there. And in preparation for that 5 to 10K on the 21st, this Saturday, the 14th, is a Color Me Green 4-H 5K up at the UC Davis field station. If you've never done it before, been there, it's an awesome opportunity to see the property in the district. It's through the hills. It's really nice. Rennick and I did it last year. You doing it again this year, Rennick?
Not flat there.
Little coaching baseball. So I'm teetering between volunteering to work there and running it. I enjoy running it. I enjoy the scenery. So if anybody wants to warm up, Seth? Yeah.
If I die at that event, then I won't be
Then you won't have to do
available for the
block
second
time.
event.
That's it. That's it. Thank you.
All right. My report went to another Marysville business opening this last week. It was great. We have a task force meeting this coming week. I'll be at the OES at Oliver School. One direction for staff, Parminder, on the negotiations that we're going to be doing with the track, if we can make sure we include the off-road recovery group, they do a great job of helping the community, and they would like access to certain areas, and maybe that could be part of that negotiation. So if you can make sure you contact them for that. And then just wanted to say about Buckeye, except for the third addendum covered it. So I look forward to those events. All right. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and go into closed session now.
We're going to have a break, right?
And we're going to do a 5-minute break, so we will convene closed session at 11 a.m.
Watch the 2026 Buckeye Parade and Firing of the Bombs, March 21st and 22nd, right here on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. Presented by Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties, our live parade coverage from Marysville's Chinatown starts just after 11 a.m. Saturday, with Firing of the Bombs at 4 p.m. Sunday. We'll have unscheduled reports from other parts of the Buckeye Festival downtown. Couldn't catch the live streams? Watch our replay with festival coverage, 7 p.m. Sunday, March 22nd. The 2026 Buckeye Parade and Firing of the Bombs. Presented by Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties, March 21st and 22nd, right here on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.
It's the truth that comes through.